What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about Zcash today. It is the 18th day of November, and here we are at about $580. Hit that like button, subscribe. Let's get into it. Okay, we got 8 hours and 8 minutes left in the day. I want to do some short-term analysis on this bad boy here. We have pulled back. And this is totally fine. This is something that we even expected, right? We did not expect that we would just tear through this on the first attempt, and maybe we would, right? Maybe we would just get some kind of higher high. That was a scenario that we accounted for, but the thought of pulling back here, finding a higher low, and then maybe breaking out on a later date, that's nothing that has me concerned with the idea that we do see higher prices. Now, what I will say is from a daily perspective, we look at this, there is some bearish divergence. We have gone on our RSI, we've gone from getting consistently overbought and getting deep into these readings here to now we've kind of rejected the overbought zone and finished off with some bearish divergence. That is a point of concern. However, this divergence started between these 2 points here, from this high to that high. And with that, you've already made this move down. You've seen, since this bearish divergence has been formed, from the high to the low, you've seen a 26% drop. Is that not enough? I think it is. I think that's enough to mark bearish divergence, to mark that we have made this move back. We don't need to go lower. We can, but we don't need to. Stochastics are at an area to bounce. The RSI, it's at an area to bounce. I mean, if we're being fair, right here, we've bounced literally right from this level a couple of times. We even found resistance here before, let alone if the day closes higher, we might be bouncing from the 60. If today closes green, we will actually literally be bouncing right off the 60, which is a perfect level to bounce off of. We bounced just below it here, right at it a couple times here, just above it right there, found resistance at it. Finding support at the 60 is actually and resistance right there, it's a very common thing to do when working your way higher. So I really wouldn't be surprised if today closes green if that was the mark of this low. If today doesn't close green, that doesn't mean that we have lower to go, but it might leave the door open for that, okay? The MACD is a little bit neutral here. It's bullish overall. There is some bearish divergence, but you've kind of already, again, seen that move play out. Bearish divergence is a 26% move down, back below where the divergence formed. Is that enough for the divergence to come to be fulfilled? I think it is. Let's look at the short-term stuff. We'll talk about it. In case it's not clear, I'm very much still under the impression that we have higher to go, but I could be wrong, and I want to look at the charts and just see what levels do we need to hold. At what point would I become bearish? I mean, first and foremost, very clearly, we become bearish, no questions asked, at $420, right? We become very bearish there. Likely you will go below $300 with that, but that would be kind of sad because then you're missing a very ideal area to sell. Again, we have talked about these areas being ideal areas to sell, not ideal areas to buy, but I have for the past, really for the past few weeks, thought that we would see higher targets, that we would go up above $800, that we would even press $900. We'll see. But let's look at the short-term stuff. We'll zoom out from there. Okay, 1 hour time frame here. First and foremost, I like this bottom. I like anytime that we have a doji candle at the low. That's actually really nice. Here you had that, and that was a little reversal chance. You didn't run with it, right? Here we're having a chance. Hopefully we run with it, right? Here you didn't have a whole lot of volume. You're getting a little bit more volume on this 1 hour candle here. Hopefully we do run with it. We're not finding resistance here. But if we're looking at this with our indicators, the RSI is bouncing right off the oversold zone. You have been in a rather methodical and tenacious, might I say, downtrend. It looks like you want to break out of it soon. You could go lower. You haven't broken out of it yet. I mean, maybe you have. Let's just see. Hold on. Connecting these highs. Maybe you're still in it, I would say. You haven't broken out of it yet, but either today or tomorrow we should be breaking out of it to the upside. I wouldn't imagine that this downtrend continues too much lower, right? It can continue to the zero, but I can't imagine that I don't imagine that it continues too much lower. I would think that we find support here soon, and what better time to do it than getting slightly in the oversold zone, rejecting it, and then coming back up. I feel like it's a perfect time to do it here. The stochastics are pointed upwards. Both indicators were both oscillators were in the oversold zone. Now they're out. That's nice to see. We've done this a couple of times though. Is this the real deal? Are we actually going to move higher though? That remains to be seen. And with that being said, you kind of have broken out of this trend in itself. The stochastics breaking out of a trend doesn't necessarily mean anything in itself because it's so chaotic. I mean, you can literally range from oversold to overbought. So I'm not weighing on this too much, but I do think it's a good look here. Coming out of the oversold zone. That's all I'm trying to say. The MACD, if we're looking at this, has been very red for quite some time. I mean, we zoom out here. That's some of the most consistent bearish readings that we've seen in a long time. Our oscillators are at some of the lowest points that we've seen really since September. I would imagine that we're at a low point, not at a high point, right? Higher lows here in the histogram, lower lows in the price. It's bullish divergence. We have double bullish divergence on the 1 hour MACD, and I don't think that we've seen that move come to fruition yet. building volume as you're moving higher. That's nice to see a little bit, right? 4-hour time frame here, zooming out. The 4-hour MACD is right at the level of the zero, right where you'd expect it to bounce from. We crossed above the zero here, and we've been consolidating now. We've theorized that when you cross above the zero on the 4-hour MACD, you consolidate for a day and a half to 3 days. Well, it has been with the 4-hour time frame, that's 6 candles per day. So 6, 12, 24 would be 4 days. So we're at like 3.5 days of consolidation right now. It's a little bit longer than average, but it's still around that area, right? I think we're just consolidating here. And typically what we see, again, this is not something that you're going to find in a textbook. This is not something that you're going to find any other analysts say. This is just, and maybe there's other analysts who have noticed this as well, but for crypto specifically, on the 4-hour time frame, when the MACD crosses above the zero, the oscillators do, you typically consolidate for a day and a half to 3 days, typically. At least what we've noticed over the past couple of months. And then the run up afterwards, right? So here's your run up that gets your MACD to cross bullish. You consolidate. The run up afterwards is typically bigger. It's typically bigger, right? So if this is our run up here from a low to a high, I would expect that the run up afterwards is going to be bigger than this. That takes us to $963. I don't know if it'll be that big though. Maybe I say typically bigger. Maybe this time is one of those times where it's not bigger. Maybe I'm measuring from the wrong point. Perhaps this is the point at which I should measure, because that's really your move. Here you're just consolidating still. And in which case, okay, that makes sense. I would expect something that is above $823. But yada yada, whatever, who cares? All I'm trying to say is that this move should be just as robust, if not more robust, than the last move. That's all I'm really trying to say there. And then beyond all that, beyond my theory of breaking above the zero leading to consolidation, look, I mean, the last time that we broke above the zero was here. Just wait, right? Right here, you crossed above the zero. What did we do? We consolidated. And then we rallied. And this move up was bigger than this move up was here, right? You can see it. It's just a theory. It's been working out. It's not even a theory. It's more of an observation. I think that's the appropriate word to use. It's an observation. But another thing outside of that observation is that bouncing off the zero is a very common thing to do as well. So we're at a point to bounce on the 4-hour MACD. We're at a point to bounce at the stochastics being oversold here. A little bit of a double bottom. We've seen this before. We've seen it happen a couple of times, actually. These double bottoms are friendly, and typically the stochastics, again, they range. They go from oversold to overbought. So I would think we're more in a position now to be getting into the overbought zone, moving toward that, as long as we can get some green 4-hour closes. The RSI here is at the same levels that it was the last time it bounced as well. We're seeing a lot of similar readings on the RSI and on the stochastics as to when we last bounced here. But typically, look at that. We actually have been bouncing here off of this level consistently, dating back to like September, right? Consistently bouncing off this area. I think that we're here at a low point. I don't think that we're going to go too much lower, if we go lower at all. From a low to a high, and I want to take this high, not the fake out high, we have bounced off the 0.5. A lot of cryptos have shown significance at the 0.5 lately, really throughout this whole cycle, but it is completely acceptable to go to the golden ratio. We could drop down to 521 to $500 itself, somewhere around there, find support, and then move back up. I doubt we break below 500, but even if we do that, there's still a chance that we find support. I would say, for me, if we close a day below this daily low close here, at that point, I'll wave the white flag of bullish surrender, okay? I would wave the white flag. If we can close, not get below, but close a day below $496, at that point, I'll start to reconsider my thoughts. Maybe we are in a double top scenario. And then as soon as we get there, we'll find support exactly like we did here, and then we'll move up. and then that's what will happen. But I do maintain the stance that we move higher. If we're looking at this on the daily time frame, the bearish divergence is a real threat. But again, if today can close green, we're only down 4.5%. If we can move up by the end of the day and close green, we'd actually be set up to bounce off the 60 on the daily RSI. That's a very positive thing in itself. The stochastics have rejected the overbought zone, but right now we're at the 50. It's a perfect area to bounce. If we pull up by the end of the day a little bit, we could bounce off of this 60 level as well. It's something that we have done. It's very common to do that, actually. And then the MACD, I don't really have any answers for the MACD other than bearish divergence. We've seen the move play out already. We can go higher. We don't have to move down from here, or we can further that divergence. But all in all, I very much do anticipate that we see higher prices. If we're looking at this from a high to a low, my expectation is that we'll go somewhere near this line at $925, though we might not actually interact with it. We could go above it. It is possible that we could go above it. But my thoughts are, taking last cycle into consideration, the cycle top to the cycle bottom, we'd probably interact with this 1272. which on the Coinbase chart is at about $920. On the like standard crypto chart, like for Binance or like the average crypto chart, I think that this level, instead of 919, it's at 877, which would be, you know, instead of this line right here, it'd be basically like right here, right? So it's very nominal amounts of difference there, but something higher is what we're expecting. You know, in other words, we look at the all-time history for Zcash, ZEC USD. You spent a whole cycle from a high to a low, just kind of consolidating, accumulating. Now you're seeing your move. It'd be very odd, in my opinion, to stop right here. It would make more sense to just push a little bit higher and hit that 877 level, right there where you found resistance before. Push a little bit beyond. I mean, there's definitely allowance for that within this fib as well, from a high to a low, being in the money zone up here. It just, to me, it makes sense. But again, as I typically finish these videos off by saying, I like to say that we have been expecting something in this range overall, and we have interacted with this range. For the past couple of days, I've said it's not a good time to buy Zcash, right? When we're up here around $700, it's not a good time to buy. Now, at 576, not financial advice, not a financial advisor, might be a better time to buy. But even still, even with this drop, it's probably not, because we do run the risk of being in a double top situation, right? If you buy here, I would have very tight stop losses, right? You're buying here because you're not trying to catch the moon. You're trying to catch this run up to about 877 or more. That's a 50% move or more. I get it. But if we go below, what was it? What was the level here? Is it this low to high? If we close below, oh yeah, it's on a 4-hour. If we close below this 4-hour close on a daily basis, if we close below $496 on a daily basis, then I would be concerned. And that's about a 13% drop from here. Is it worth buying here? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. That's up for you to decide. But I do think that we're going to go higher. I would still maintain the thought that it's probably not a good time to buy Zcash. If I was looking to buy Zcash, I might just say instead buy Dash. Not financial advice, not a financial advisor, but I think Dash is probably at a better price to buy than Zcash is, right? You haven't seen your finish yet, at least I don't think. We're still consolidating. We found support at perfect areas to find support. If you're looking to put money into Zcash here, I would just say Dash is probably a better opportunity as far as growth goes and as far as risk goes as well. But I do expect Zcash to move higher. We are looking for $877 to $930 to be the target area. I don't have anything else that I want to say. I think I've said everything I need to say. So hit the like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here. 5 days, 8 hours left in this week. A lot of things can happen, man. Just remember, last week we had 3 days left in the week and we were like down here. And then we moved up. Then we moved up to have a bullish finish, right? It was Wednesday and we were down here. Right now it's Tuesday. Oh damn, that reminds me. I gotta do some stuff. Hit the like button, subscribe. Thank you all. Take care. Bye.